Part 84. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 836. Tao Ran turned on the display screen. The envelope indicates there is a message there. System Message 1. The prince was attacked, and although he was not seriously injured, the king was still furious. After some calculations by the wizard, it was discovered that a spy from a hostile country had sneaked into the palace castle. The king decided to check all the guests entering the palace today. Everyone without exception. All players have been invited to the reception room, where you will be investigated. P.S. This level is a team game, and each game starts with 12 players. Don't start if the number of people is not enough. Tao Ran laughed. He was indeed right. What a team game. It's just that she came too early. She was the first player to reach the 17th floor, and no one else knew which floor they were trapped on. It won't open until 12 people have gathered, so I'm afraid she'll have to wait. System Message 2. Hello players, due to insufficient number of players, your round of game will be postponed to tomorrow. Note, tomorrow here refers to the day after restart. That is, if the game fails to start at the end of dinner, time will restart and you will be in a loop until the game ends successfully. Tao Ran was speechless. I'm really speechless. In other words, from now on, as long as the number of players is not enough and the game never starts, she will continue to cycle today? That's not fair, she said. In this way, wouldn't the time difference between me and other players that I finally managed to win have been completely reduced? My previous advantage was completely in vain? This is unfair to me. How could any long-distance running competition tell her that after finishing a lap, she must wait for the people behind her to arrive before running together? This is an individual competition, right? Whether it was because she hadn't noticed before or because the system heard her protest, the system message 2 was followed by a small question mark. When she clicked on it, it was the answer to her previous question. The game has great freedom. The player who enters the story first will have a natural advantage. Players can explore the plot as much as possible while waiting for the game to start and gain an advantage for themselves. P.S. In order to ensure the fairness of the game rewards will be slightly adjusted according to the time of entering the plot. Players who enter the plot first will receive certain compensation. There was compensation, which was enough. Tao Ran said nothing more. She saw another system message. Congratulations to the player for receiving the Queen's apology, the luck value increased by 1%. There was another moment of silence. Just 1%? Very picky. However, this can be considered as evidence that entering the plot first has a natural advantage. NPC's favorability and hidden plots can indeed bring great benefits in the game. So, if she makes the Queen burst into tears of gratitude and moves the Queen to heaven and earth, can she add a lot more attributes? Tao Ran thought carefully for a while and continued to practice her kung fu. The next day, sure enough, the cycle started again. Don't look at the time does not flow at a normal speed in the game. Anyway, when there was a knock on the door of Tao Ran's room, the maid came to tell her that it was time to go to lunch. It was the luncheon yesterday with hundreds of guests. After dinner, it was still the same as yesterday, drinking tea, chatting and admiring flowers. Everything Tao Ran did was basically a copy of yesterday. Because she knows that today, I'm afraid the game still won't start, and it will have to be repeated tomorrow. The assassination process also happened exactly the same. But this time, Tao Ran entered the observation room early, so she knew exactly how the assassinated guest moved. After that, just like yesterday, she was taken to the drawing room. Among the 12 people, after waiting all afternoon, she was still the only one. Before dinner, she did the same thing she did yesterday. After dinner and a nap, the Queen's behavior was exactly the same as yesterday, and Tao Ran got another 1% luck bonus. After confirming that the rewards given by the NPC could be accumulated after entering the cycle, Taoran started to work hard on the third day. This time, at the dinner table, she let herself go a little bit. After the first 2 days, she basically understood the conversation content, identity, and background of the lady at the same table, the origin of her hobbies, etc. When she joined the conversation in this way, she accurately caught everyone's points and left a good first impression on everyone. She easily became the C-seat at the dinner table. Everyone admired her for her wisdom and knowledge. At the tea party after the meal, she was even more impeccable in her appearance and conversation. She introduced the customs of the China country in a vivid and engaging manner, and gained a lot of goodwill. While everyone was convinced of her origins, they also had a yearning for the country of China. When it came time to enjoy the flowers, the queen took out the exotic flowers and plants she had carefully maintained. Since she had received a lot of popularization in the past 2 days, Taoran showed a little bit that she was well informed and knowledgeable, and once again made everyone feel good about her. Before the assassination, she had locked onto the assassin early in the morning, including his movement and interactions along the way. Before the assassin took action, she said, "That man is weird," and successfully directed the gazes of the guards and the queen. The guard fired angrily at the assassin with his bow and arrows. The king, queen, and prince were frightened for a while. Taoran was praised for being the first to notice something was wrong. Then, she entered the living room again. Just like the previous 2 days, she was still herself until night. Taoran was a little helpless. Why don't those people come? The game failed to start again. After she was brought back sickly, the queen brought many gifts to thank her. Especially, she got a beautiful gemstone necklace, and the queen kissed her when she said goodbye. The system prompts that the queen's prop necklace can gain everyone's favorability bonus by 5%. P.S. This item cannot be obtained repeatedly during the cycle. The queen's kiss and blessing gave her a 5% luck bonus. P.S. During the cycle, the same bonus of 5% or above cannot be obtained repeatedly. Congratulations, your luck will be restored to normal soon. It wasn't bad, her efforts over the past few days were not in vain. After practicing all night, I entered the 4th cycle. This time, Taoran felt more at home. Every time she talked with the queen and ladies, she learned more about them. She basically already knows what everyone says, what they like and what they hate. What things, words, and things are taboo. After a little speculation on everyone's thoughts, everyone's favorable impression of her sword, coupled with the bonus of the queen's prop necklace, even the captain of the guard who looked like a wooden stake burst out laughing when he saw her. During the tea party, she was naturally more at ease. She also further spread the China culture, helping a little princess to do an ancient Chinese-style bun, and casually tied a red string into a China knot, which made all the noble ladies marvel. Everyone was curious about her and her homeland, and many wanted to introduce her to someone. Taoran did this not to spread Eastern culture, but mainly to make all NPCs believe in her and completely separate her from a spy. In this way, I wonder if it will be helpful to her when the game of tracking down the spies gets underway. The assassination came as promised again. This time, Taoran decided to have more fun. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 837. After several days of observation, Taoran knew all the assassin's movements. In the hanging garden on the 2nd floor, under her guidance, the queen and several ladies stopped at the points she needed. Just like yesterday, before the assassin was about to take action, Taoran said, "There's something wrong with that person." "How?" "I seem to see a knife in his arms." As soon as Taoran finished speaking, he saw the man raising a glass with one hand and holding the other in his arms, striding towards the back of the prince in front of him. The position of Taoran and the others happened to be almost above the prince, so they could see quite clearly. When the man suddenly walked quickly, he put down his hand in his arms, and a cold light flashed. That. Oh my God! Before they could react, the captain of the guard was about to draw his bow, but someone had already taken action first. It was Chao Ran. Although she seemed to be as panicked as everyone else, she had already pushed a flower pot down hard as soon as she realized something was wrong. Huge flower pots fell from the sky. Everyone on the first floor was shocked. The guards around the prince were shocked when they saw this, and grabbed the prince first. So the flower pot was smashed to pieces not far behind the prince, and the assassin who was raising his knife to make a move had already been hit by an arrow in his arm. With a crisp clang sound, the dagger with cold light fell to the ground, shocking everyone even more than the flower pot. Who doesn't know that no weapons or tools are allowed in the palace today? When the assassin was subdued instantly, the frightened queen's first reaction was to hug Chao Ran. "Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for saving my child." Chao Ran raised his eyebrows. This time, she became the prince's savior. What will be the result? Could she just skip this level? 5 minutes later, in the queen's private sitting room, both the king and the prince already knew that it was Princess Ran Ran who was the first to discover the assassin. While the guards were alert, it was also thanks to her that she calmly pushed the flower pot out. Her actions made the prince's guards realize that something was wrong, and they directly pulled the prince to avoid the attack, and also bought time for the captain of the guard on the second floor to shoot. The king and prince came to Chao Ran solemnly for the first time. They expressed their gratitude and then kissed Chao Ran's hand. "This is just great." At Chao Ran's place, the ding 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 system prompt suddenly rang non-stop. And Chao Ran's drama won't stop. When the king took her hand, he realized that her hand was shaking. Taking a closer look at her hands, the king was also frightened. "She's hurt." The skin on those palms was all worn out. He knew that it must have been the push against the flower pot just now, and the huge friction caused this girl with delicate skin and tender flesh to suffer. But this girl not only didn't hesitate, she also didn't say a word until now. The queen felt distressed and the prince was dumbfounded. "Why didn't you say you were injured?" "Small injury. It's nothing compared to the assassination of the prince." "It doesn't matter, just clean the wound well. This injury is naturally not caused by pushing the flower pot." How could she be so weak? After pushing the flower pot down, she lay on the marble handrail on the second floor and scratched the opening of the handrail hard. Oh, the queen hugged Chao Ran again. "How can there be such a kind, lovely and sensible princess like you in the world, my dear baby?" Later, the queen asked the king to reward Princess Ran Ran well. The king expressed his intention to do so. The prince's eyes softened a lot when he looked at Chao Ran. The queen asked Chao Ran to rest, while the king was busy checking. Chao Ran was secretly happy. He could go back and rest. Can he skip this level? But it turns out that she thought too much. Before she could reach her guest room, someone came over and took her to the familiar small living room. The only difference was that the queen arrived in a hurry 10 minutes later. "I'm sorry, dear. I didn't ask you to come here to be investigated because I suspected you." "How could we suspect you? If you were a spy, why did you save the prince just now? Couldn't you just let the assassin succeed? So we don't have any suspicion about you. But now the king has ordered a thorough investigation. All guests are subject to investigation, without exception. In order to express fairness, so." "I understand." Chao Ran held up her skirt and bowed, so that the queen didn't have to worry about it. "Your Majesty is wise and your arrangements are perfect. You are right, for the sake of fairness, everyone must be treated equally. Since I am also a guest, I naturally have to accept the investigation. Those who are clean will self-clean. I have done nothing wrong and I am not afraid of a thorough investigation." The queen was even more satisfied. What a child who knows the big picture and understands the overall situation. She really liked this child more and more. Taoran grabbed the queen again. Please also convey to your majesty that we must catch the spies and the bad guys from the hostile country. I still have a big grudge against them. Taoran's tears began to well up in his eyes again. The queen suddenly remembered, yes, if nothing else happened, Princess Ranran's convoy guards should have been killed by that group of people. Princess Ranran had a big revenge against them. Speaking of it, Ranran should be the least likely person among all the guests to collude with spies, but they still locked up Ranran like this. The queen felt even more guilty. You have been wronged, my child. After today's incident is over, I will make it up to you. The queen made a promise. Taoran expressed her open-minded attitude. Left alone again, Taoran clicked on her monitor. All our system messages. The king is very grateful to you. The player's luck value will be increased by 3%. The prince is very grateful to you. The player's luck value will be increased by 3%. The king kissed and blessed you, and the player's luck value will be increased by 5%. The prince kissed and blessed you, and the player's luck value will be increased by 5%. The queen feels extremely guilty towards you. The player's luck will be increased by 2%. After this round of adding up the lucky values, Taoran's current lucky value is not only no longer negative, it should be increased by 10%. But even so, she had no intention of continuing the lottery. Anyway, idle is idle. After many days, she finally clicked on the assistant again. Congratulations, little sister, you are awesome. Your luck is finally. The assistant originally wanted to persuade her to draw a lottery again, but under Taoran's terrifying eyes, her voice became smaller and smaller, and she could no longer speak. Yes, I'm sorry. Why do you always want to trick me into drawing a lottery? I'm not. You deliberately induced people to draw draws and lose points, right? What's in it for you? Are you an artificial intelligence? I'm studying acting, but you have so many micro-expressions that I can't believe it. You're just an intelligence. If you don't be honest with me, I won't participate in the lottery again until the end of the game. Miss, I'm really sorry. I can't say anything more. I can only reiterate what I said to you for the first time. I said, you and I are one, think about it for yourself. That's all I can say. This time, it was not Taoran who went to imprison him, but the assistant who hid in the corner by himself. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 838. In one body? What does it mean to be one with the assistant? Taoran stared at the assistant who was looking at her in the corner and thought for a while. Just as she was about to continue asking, the doorknob turned. Huh? At this time? It was the guard who sent two people to this room. The two people were still confused for the moment, so they just followed the instructions and sat on the chairs next to the table. Taoran's eyes lit up. Here we go, finally a player has arrived. On March 12th, two came at once, indicating that other players should be almost there. In 2 to 3 days at most, the game can start, right? Taoran looked at the two of them carefully. These two people were different from her. They probably didn't come as serious guests. They looked dressed up, which seemed a bit low-key. Before the guards left, they nodded to Taoran and said that if anything happened, they could call them directly. Taoran nodded. The two newcomers looked at each other, and then all four eyes were fixed on Taoran. Hello, they both greeted Taoran in unison. Taoran smiled slightly, understanding that they were still in their first cycle. Just like him a few days ago, Monk Zhang-er was completely confused and probably thought he was an NPC. Hello, since the one who comes first has an advantage, Taoran doesn't plan to tell them too much useful information and lets them explore on their own. What's your name? The two of them wanted to test this woman's background. NPC. The girl in front of her was dressed too luxuriously and her bearing was too extraordinary. It was in no way inconsistent with this room, this era, and this background. Combined with the attitudes of the guards just now, they guessed that she was an NPC. Ran Taoran deliberately lowered his voice. And no identity suffix is added. Oh, the two of them did not get any valid information. Then we call you Miss Ran. Okay. What about you? Taoran opened her feather fan and shook it. Who are you? Her aura showed off, and the two of them looked at each other again. I'm afraid she is some kind of NPC, but the two of them are very honest. I am Count Louis Neighbor. I am a good friend of Duke Leiter. Taoran nodded. Sure enough, everyone used their own methods to sneak into the palace. Are you? The two asked. Guest, not knowing the details of the visitor, and considering the possibility of competition, Taoran didn't want them to know that he was a player, let alone that he was pretending to be a princess. After all, these two people are the fastest to reach this level, so it may not be easy. May I ask if you know what we are doing here? Waiting for investigation. There is an assassin in the palace. The king suspects that a spy has entered the palace. Now everyone in the palace, especially the guests, must be investigated. I think it will be our turn soon. Taoran just wanted to scare them. But he didn't plan to tell them that the system message hadn't come yet, and the game could only be started if there were 12 people. The speaker is casual, but the listener is panicked. Both of them entered the palace through illegal means, and they felt guilty. How could they not be anxious? Taoran, you two, will have no problem, right? I heard that all suspicious guests will undergo the most severe torture. What problem can we have? The two said, but in reality they were even more panicked. They stopped paying attention to Taoran and started whispering. Taoran didn't want to talk to them at all, so he just closed his eyes and meditated. The two of them rustled for a while. Taoran heard all the whispers. The two of them are worried about being caught. If they can't withstand a thorough investigation, at least they won't be able to attend tomorrow night's dance, or at worst they will be eliminated from the game. Eventually, they decided they couldn't sit back and wait. They want to run away, then hide, wait until the thorough investigation is over, and then blend into the crowd of guests. When Taoran secretly opened his eyes, what he saw was that they were quietly moving the stools and preparing to climb out of the window. Naturally, Taoran would not stop them. The game has a lot of freedom, and she doesn't know what plot she might face if she escapes. In fact, she was also curious. So, when the two of them jumped out of the window and left, she also got up and went to the window. However, unfortunately, as soon as the two people jumped out of the window, they were pointed at by several long swords before they could even stand firm. Who would have thought that now everyone in the entire castle was locked in rooms waiting for interrogation, and all the guards in the palace were dispatched, following the wizard's instructions and sneaking around. Anyone who wants to escape must be caught immediately. How can someone who walks and sits upright escape? So the two people were detained immediately, and the guards called them spies. And those two people are indeed not simple. They fight and want to escape. In this way, it is even more wrong. Their fighting skills are very good, and they can get away even if they are restrained. They ran away, but how could they escape the heavy guards? There was no way of escaping from the clutches of the king's wizard. The two of them hit a wall of air and couldn't get out. After that, he was naturally easily subdued by the guards. Taoran watched them being hacked and bruised, and being taken away without knowing whether they were alive or dead. Undoubtedly, these two people were eliminated. She took a deep breath. Sure enough, it was right to just keep it quiet. It's a shame that I didn't tell them that I was also a player just now, otherwise I'm afraid they would be dragged down. She sat back. Before dinner, another person came into the living room. This time it was a young man with 2 moles on his face. He also looked confused and full of questions. Taoran didn't want to talk nonsense anymore, so he simply fell down in the chair and pretended to sleep. The man waited for a while and decided to wake Taoran up. However, it was dinner time. The maids brought a sumptuous dinner. After the maids left, the man couldn't wait to speak. "Hello, my name is Zhou Chang. What about you?" Ran. "Are you, Zhou Chang also came to test?" "I am a guest at the banquet. May I take the liberty of asking?" Shh. Taoran blocked his mouth with a piece of steak. After swallowing, he said, "Don't talk while eating, otherwise your digestion will be difficult. No big deal is as important as eating. If you have any questions, maybe you'll know after you finish eating. It has to be recycled anyway." After eating, it was time for the system message to come, and he understood. Since they had to meet again tomorrow, Taoran planned to be friendly, so he said a few more words. The man lowered his head, said nothing more, and started eating silently. Sure enough, not long after the meal, the man frowned. Taoran knew that a message from his system was coming. And just as he was about to ask something, the Queen's female officer also arrived. She bowed and asked Taoran to follow her to the Queen's place. In the man's surprised eyes, Taoran walked in front of the female officer with his head held high, fanned himself and left. The man already knows that this is a game area opened only for players, so this woman in gorgeous clothes is also a player. But how could she be so arrogant and become a guest of the Queen? The man decided to get along well with this woman. If you can't afford it, then join. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 839. Taoran followed the female officer to find the Queen. On the way, she inquired and confirmed that the king wanted to reward her. "Is that so? This opportunity came to my door and I couldn't let it go." Taoran missed one scene today because there were so many people coming and going in the reception room. So, while walking in the corridor, she suddenly stumbled, fainted, and fell straight to the ground. Eventually, she was carried away. 2 palace doctors circled around her and finally diagnosed that she was suffering from excessive fright. This time, not only the Queen was apologetic, but the king was also full of guilt. They remembered that the 2 spies caught today were locked in the same room as Princess Ran. When the Queen asked, Taoran nodded. "Oh, my poor baby, my dear princess," the Queen hugged Taoran. "Are you frightened when you heard that you were under investigation? You were locked up with the spies, and you watched them jump off the 2nd floor and be arrested. How could our princess not be frightened? My dear Ran, you have suffered." The king also came to express his apology. As Taoran's system rang, the king's reward had already been delivered. A complete set of jewelry, beautiful clothes, expensive crystal cups, all kinds of golden and beautiful objects. Taoran felt very sad. No matter how many rewards you receive, they will be reset and will disappear automatically by tomorrow. I wonder if the game can be launched tomorrow? If you want to use these treasures for your own use, you have to work hard tomorrow. Taoran didn't know that her calm expression when facing all kinds of treasures fell in the eyes of the king and queen, who thought highly of her. What they gave out were all good things, valuable but not marketable, but Princess Ran was not overjoyed. "It's really grand. It seems that the country of China is vast and rich in resources, and the princess it cultivated is well informed." In addition, the king rewarded her with a glass of wine in order to calm her down. While Taoran drank, the system sounded again. "When I got back, I saw it was very good. There were three pieces of news. One was that she received an apology from the king, and her luck increased by 3%. One is the king suppressing wine, which increases her force value by 5%. The last one turned out to be a reminder, telling her that there were only 99 small points left, which was the last 10%, before she could reach full favorability with the queen, so she could continue to work hard. Haha, it seems that working hard to gain goodwill is still very useful. The night passed. Reboot again. Tao Ran, who has been repeated too many times, is like a duck in water. There must be more and more players reaching this level. She has to concentrate and replay the plot every time as if it is the last cycle. At the luncheon, she showed off Oriental culture while getting a lot of favorable impressions. After the meal, she participated in the Queen's Clothing Bureau and made many suggestions on clothing, color matching, hairstyle and makeup. After that, it was still a tea party, flower viewing, and the prince was still saved again. Once again, waiting for an investigation. This time, not long after Tao Ran entered the room, the man from yesterday, Zhou Chang, also came. Zhou Chang greeted Tao Ran with a smile and took the initiative to pour tea for Tao Ran. The two didn't know whether the next game would be cooperation or competition, so the atmosphere was quite harmonious. Zhou Chang mentioned the two people who jumped out of the window yesterday. I heard that they jumped from this room. Indeed. Originally, our room had 1/3 of the population. But they made the wrong choice out of guilty conscience. It has nothing to do with me. Don't worry too much. I have no intention of doubting you. Zhou Chang waved his hands repeatedly. That's it? I think since we came here first and have the opportunity to chat privately, we can join forces regardless of whether the game being played next is cooperation or competition. Tao Ran took a sip of tea. Zhou Chang continued, look, the two people yesterday obviously had a cooperative relationship. If they didn't make any mistakes, after the game starts, the two people help each other, and their strength will definitely be greater than ours. What if they are 3 people or 4 people? This is what I think. In the next games, whether it is cooperation or competition, the promotion rate will be at least half. 12 people, at least 6 to 8 people can pass, right? Therefore, when we cooperate, the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, and at least we can ensure the advantages. What do you think? This person's analysis makes sense. Tao Ran nodded and asked a question of his own. The two people yesterday jumped from this room. I'm not sure if they will still be in the game if they are eliminated before the game starts. If not accounted for, they would be a 12-player game. If it is taken, only 10 people will participate in the next game. If the number of eliminations is determined, the elimination rate will become higher. Zhou Chang nodded quickly. He has also considered this issue. At this time, the door handle was turned again. Just like yesterday, it was the queen who came. She apologized and comforted Tao Ran, hugged and kissed him. When Zhou Chang stood up instantly, his mouth opened into a huge O shape. He knew that Ran was not easy, but he didn't expect her to be so capable. The queen noticed him. Take care of our princess Ran. If you dare to be rude to her, you will bear the consequences. Zhou Chang quickly said he didn't dare. After the queen left, Zhou Chang slowly sat down. Of course, princess, he finally pretended to be the youngest son of a country earl. This one was so good, she was directly the princess, and she even asked the queen to come to visit and apologize in person. He almost couldn't even think about it. Tao Ran looked at Zhou Chang with a smile. Do you want to report me as a fake? Zhou Chang shook his head. Don't worry, absolutely not. I can see how much the queen thinks of you. Will I ask for trouble if I don't have evidence? And I am not clean myself. If I tell the truth, why not report you? I want to hang out with you more. Well, then keep a low profile. Tao Ran felt that he had to cheer up. He couldn't let the queen come again tomorrow. This Zhou Chang is a sober person, so that's okay. If there are many people and he is so arrogant, it will inevitably arouse jealousy, which will cause trouble. At this time, two more people came. A girl in her 20s and a man in his 50s. The two of them didn't know the situation and were very anxious. The girl kept crying, and the man begged the guards not to imprison him. As a result, the man was beaten and curled up in a ball on the ground. The guards left, leaving four people in the room. Girls continue to break down, and so do men in their 50s. The two started tossing around, one wanted to jump out of the window, and the other kept banging on the door. Tao Ran had a headache and looked at Zhou Chang. The two didn't say anything, but after having a basic intention to cooperate, they had some tacit understanding. Zhou Chang rushed out and subdued the middle-aged man who jumped out of the window to the ground. Tao Ran also grabbed the girl who knocked on the door and pushed her down on the sofa. "Don't make trouble," Zhou Chang told the truth. "We are all players. According to the rules of the game, we must be locked up here. If you get out, you will die." It's not that Tao Ran and Zhou Chang wanted to save people or win over these two people as allies. In fact, both of them despise the two newcomers. No matter how you look at it, they will only be a hindrance. Neither Tao Ran nor Tao Ran wanted the new players to make the same mistake as yesterday. I'm afraid that if they also occupy the game quota and are eliminated before the game starts, then if another person is eliminated during the game, the elimination rate will further increase, and Tao Ran and Zhou Chang will be in more danger. It would be better for both of them to let these two guys who don't look strong take up the spots. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 840. The two quickly calmed down. The woman sat next to Tao Ran, while the middle-aged man kept asking Zhou Chang questions. The two of them became quiet after knowing that they would receive system tasks after dinner. They introduced themselves. The woman's name is Xiaoan. The middle-aged man calls himself Dahai. The four of them started talking to each other. This person named Xiaoan received a lucky bonus in the initial level, and then she was blessed all the way, cheating on everything, and reached this level almost in a daze. Dahai, on the other hand, stumbled all the way. Yesterday he managed to sneak into the palace with the friends he met on the road. However, his friend was not careful and was just eliminated today, so he has not yet been able to adjust mentally. Before dinner started, 3 more players arrived. The 3 people who came this time made Tao Ran and Zhou Chang look at each other immediately. Everyone could see that these 3 people had formed an alliance. Moreover, the first impression given by these 3 people was not good. Some are fierce, some are savage, some are rude and overbearing. There is no need to panic when there are many people. They sat there and looked at Tao Ran and the 4 of them one by one. It should be said that Xiaoan and Dahai were in such bad condition that the 3 of them immediately recognized that they were players. The 3 people didn't know the current situation, so they directly picked the soft persimmon and patted Xiaoan on the shoulder to express that they wanted to talk to her. Xiaoan was afraid and grabbed Tao Ran, the only woman present besides her. The 3 people saw this and felt that Tao Ran was the young girl's protector, so they all turned their attention to Tao Ran. It turns out that this is also a player? Hey, how about we talk? The bearded man who was the leader of the 3 people saw that Tao Ran was pretty, so he stretched out his hand directly to Tao Ran's face. Tao Ran hit his hand with a fan. Be honest. The bearded man had a red mark on the back of his hand, and he immediately bared his teeth. Little girl, you are so brave. The 3 of them said that they were about to gather around. Over there, Zhou Chang was about to stand up, but Tao Ran had already shouted guard to the door. She has the privileges given by the queen. The queen just said that if there is any situation, she will call the guards. Sure enough, as soon as she shouted, the door opened. When the guards saw 3 men standing next to Princess Ran Ran, They immediately ordered them to sit back and wait for interrogation. The three of them were struck by the long sword and did not dare to act recklessly, so they sat back one after another. Taoran signaled to the guards that everything was okay, and then all the guards left. The three people became honest and looked at Taoran strangely. They saw that the other three people were sitting next to the beautiful woman in gorgeous clothes, and they began to suspect that she was the leader of those three people. All of them narrowed their eyes for a moment. Taoran knew that the situation was not good. If this happens, will he become the target of public criticism? To capture the thief, capture the king first. If a fight breaks out, you may become a target. But soon, the three people's eyes moved from her to Zhou Chang. In their opinion, the embroidered pillow must be of no use. When they approached the woman just now, the young man was the first to stand up. I'm afraid this young woman's confidence lies in that young man, right? The three began to whisper. Dinner was served. Still rich. Zhou Chang sat next to Taoran. If nothing else, tomorrow will be the last time. Knowing that others could not understand, Zhou Chang said bluntly. Yes. There are 7 people now. If those 2 from yesterday are included, there are already 9 people. Then just 3 more people are needed and the game will begin directly. Even if we don't count the 2 people yesterday, there are only 5 people missing. According to the number of people coming today, the number of people should be full tomorrow. I wonder if I can wait until number 266? This time, we must unite. Zhou Chang pointed his fork at the 3 people. It was obvious that 2 groups of people had formed at the table. Yes. You have to work hard tomorrow. When Taoran's words were heard by Zhou Chang, he thought she was talking about working hard to form a clique, but in fact, Taoran was talking about something completely different. After dinner, Taoran was called away again by the Queen's people, shocking the new arrivals. Another day. A new cycle begins. Taoran started to work hard. After so many days, no matter how bad her condition was, she could still adjust to almost perfection. She probably knows everyone's preferences, everyone's general personality, and what everyone wants to hear and do. How can she not hit the right mark? Of course, her main target is still the Queen. This time, she got up early. Reading in the morning light, personally selecting flowers to put in vases, silently adjusting the crooked paintings when passing by the corridor, seeing the cats in the palace and feeding them. Early in the morning, she left her presents and presents everywhere praise. She knew that she had been captured by the Queen at least 3 times, and she had even encountered the King and the Prince once each. At the luncheon, she still performed steadily. But after the luncheon, when the Queen was changing her clothes, she did something little. The Queen was refreshed and ready for afternoon tea. When going to the Sky Garden through the spiral staircase, everyone's attention was attracted by the handsome and charming prince below, who was painting. Then, ahem! The Queen's feet suddenly twisted while she was climbing the stairs. Seeing that the Queen was about to fall, Taoran, with quick eyesight and quick hands, reached out to hold the Queen with one hand and put the other hand directly under the Queen's softened knees. The Queen was startled. Making a fool of yourself is a small matter, but losing face is a big deal. How could she lose face in front of the distinguished guests today? What's more, kneeling. Taoran's help directly allowed her to maintain her self-esteem. I'm sorry, Your Highness, I didn't stand firm and stepped on the hem of your skirt. Taoran lowered his head and saluted quickly. I lost my temper, please forgive me, Your Highness. The Queen almost wanted to go up and hug this caring girl. How come there is someone in the world who understands her thoughts so well? You know, she had just lost her composure and had already thought of multiple excuses to excuse her kneeling just now. Before her female officer could react, her lovely Ran had already paved the steps. It felt wrong to her. Silly girl, what's the big deal? The Queen directly took Taoran's hand and put her hand on her arm. Then, she felt Taoran's grasp, and then followed Taoran's gesture and saw a pebble at the corner of the steps. The queen's eyes suddenly sharpened. Cobblestone. This is indoors, where did the pebbles come from? On the steps, it's even more impossible. She just came up and didn't see it. So, someone did this on purpose. Taoran raised her skirt and helped pick up the stone. The queen nodded to her and motioned for her to put it away first. When they arrived at the garden, the queen took Taoran aside. When the captain of the guard asked Taoran to take out the pebbles, the queen saw that her entire finger had been broken by the pad that Ran had just given her. "My silly boy, how can you? It was urgent at the time and I didn't care about so much. On such a big day today, you must be the most dazzling woman in the entire palace. Then why didn't you say you were injured? It's a small injury. I'll bandage it right away." "Don't worry." Taoran left with a sweet smile, leaving room for the queen and the captain of the guard to talk. "Know the general picture, understand things, and have eyesight, know how to advance and retreat." The queen touched her breasts and felt that Taoran was the cutest girl she had ever seen. "Thank you all for your monthly votes and brother Long for your reward. I'm going to celebrate my dad's birthday tomorrow. If it's too late, I'll take a day off." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 841. Almost an hour later, Taoran repeated the exact same behavior as the previous few days. She once again became the prince's savior. The follow-up is the same, but also different. This time, she was invited by the king immediately, but she didn't just accept the thanks from the superior. After the assassination of the prince occurred, it was difficult for the captain of the guard and the king not to associate it with the fact that the queen almost fell down the stairs because of the sudden appearance of pebbles. In this way, there is an echo between the two. Therefore, Taoran participated in the discussion of the superiors as a witness. "When I went up the spiral staircase, Her Royal Highness the Queen walked at the front. I was sure that when I walked up, there was nothing on the stairs. But when I helped Her Highness up, there were pebbles on the ground. I also felt that there was someone in the dark." As on previous occasions, the king was furious. Taoran saluted and asked the king to investigate strictly, eradicate these hostile forces in the Pomegranate Kingdom, and help her avenge Barabala. The king and queen trusted her, especially after they discovered that her injuries were more serious. This time, it was also the only time in many days that Taoran was not asked to leave and participated in the whole process of the king's thorough investigation. The king also expressed his apology directly, and to show that he was treating everyone equally, he would probably ask Princess Ran to cooperate with the nominal investigation. Not only did Taoran readily agree, but she immediately said that she would help the king and queen observe the other guests today, find ways to expose the spies, and would definitely help the royal family solve this major problem. The king and queen once again praised her for her general knowledge. Before Taoran left, she bluntly stated that she would do her best wherever she was needed. On Taoran's way to the living room, there was a ding. There is a system message. Taoran opened it directly. The queen's favorability, thanks to one more effort to save the queen today, finally reached 999, which is full. Showing that the queen's favorability gift boxes are being distributed. When we arrived at the living room, everyone from yesterday had already arrived. Several people watched her being brought respectfully by the guards. The guards nodded and bowed to her, and they became more and more curious. Taoran stood still at the table. Without saying a word, the guard came forward and asked the bearded man to leave from seat 1. It turns out that the bearded man came the earliest today. He took a fancy to the main seat where Taoran sat yesterday, so he directly chose to sit down. This is the main seat, please get out of this position, the guard's sword tip has been thrust out. The bearded man didn't dare to make any mistakes, so he had to stand up in frustration. The guards even helped wipe the chair, pull out the chair, adjust the chair, and help Chaoran pour the tea. In this way, no one dared to underestimate Chaoran. Before the guard left, he asked Chaoran for a few words, glanced at everyone present, and warned them to be more honest. Chaoran sat down, and Zhou Chang and Xiao Wenhai also sat down next to her. Although they didn't see her showing any hard power, they still felt that they should follow her. Then, the three people on the opposite side took the initiative to speak. Man with stubble, let me introduce myself. My name is Lao Hu, you can also call me Tiger. The tall and thin man on the man's left, call me Mouse. The fat man with dark eyes on the right side of the man said, call me Eagle. Chaoran and others also casually reported their names. It's fate that we meet, let's talk. The stubble-bearded tiger glanced at Chaoran and Zhou Chang several times, and finally settled on Zhou Chang, motioning for him to go aside and chat privately. There are 3 people with stubble together, but there are 12 players in this game, and his 3 people are still weak. He also wants to strive for strength. Of the 4 people opposite, it seems that the beautiful woman is the most powerful, but look at her, she is dressed differently today than yesterday, and her clothes and jewelry are much more beautiful than yesterday. For such a woman to be able to rise to the top and make a large group of men bow down to her, she must have used some shameful and flattering means. Not really capable. So they chose Zhou Chang. Zhou Chang laughed and said, if you have anything to say, just say it directly. We are all in similar situations now. Is there anything we can't talk about? He has to choose a collaborator. The tiger was splashed with cold water, snorted and sat back. 3 minutes later, he spoke again. Since we are here first, the 7 of us might as well unite. There must be eliminations in this game. How about we cooperate and let the eliminated ones be among the 5 people who are waiting? Chaoran and Zhou Chang looked at each other. It's not certain whether 3 or 5 people will come later. Let's take a look again, Zhou Chang said. But in the ears of those 3 people, this sentence sounded like rejection. Ignorance. 5 minutes later, 2 more people were sent into the room. A blond man in his 30s and a boy of 13 or 14. Both of them had just reached this level, and were caught in the middle of nowhere. After being caught into the room, the 2 cowered and didn't know what to do. Tiger smiled and stepped forward, extending his hand to the blond man. Hello. The blond man was grateful and immediately extended his hand, then followed the tiger to a corner. The boy was not selected and lowered his head. He looked at Tiger's group and knew that they looked down on him. He looked at the remaining 4 people who were relatively close to each other. There were already men, women, and old people here. You shouldn't mind one more young, right? He walked next to the seemingly weak Xiaoan. Can I sit here? Xiaoan looked at Chaoran. Chaoran nodded, okay. There is no one in this seat. The boy knew that Chaoran could speak well. My name is Ma Xiaoyuan. He was the only one who gave his first and last name when he announced his identity. Chaoran calls himself Ran Ran again. But Dahai was not happy anymore. He looked at Chaoran with a slight complaint. An alliance of 4 strong tigers has been formed. If the game later is a team confrontation, how can we beat them? His meaning was very simple. First, they shouldn't let a little brat come in and hinder them. Second, when they saw the golden-haired man entering, they shouldn't do nothing. The most important thing is that he felt that he should not have refused Tiger's invitation just now. If a good bird chooses a tree to roost in, it is natural to choose strong teammates. As for the people on the opposite side, they seem to be quite powerful at first glance. Isn't it good to turn enemies into friends? Chaoran looked at Zhou Chang. What did you say? Zhou Chang said directly to the sea, if you want to go to the other side, you can go at any time. Tao Ran nodded, that's what she thought. I deliberately asked Zhou Chang just to see what this person was thinking. See if he is really suitable as an ally. She is different from Tiger. Her allies, and more importantly, trust. If not, there must at least be some consensus. Looking at it several times now, she recognized Zhou Chang's brain circuit. This time the tower attack is different from the last survival game. From the initial mission, you are fighting alone, and the first 9 floors are all biased towards various survival disasters. Although Tao Ran has not experienced it, he still finds it difficult. A child who can survive every level in such a scene must be extraordinary. There must be a way. On the contrary, this C relied on teammates before. When a teammate dies and he is incapable, he just wants to find a big backer. Keeping such a person is troublesome. They would rather keep the boy. Your author is in the hospital again, Awesome. Oh, the heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 842. The sea really walked towards the 4 tigers. After Ma Xiaoyuan said I'm sorry, he said thank you again. The 3 tigers who sat down across from them again had their tails almost raised to the sky. Ha, things are changing. Just now it was 4 against 3, and they were still worried that their weak 3 was not strong enough, but in the blink of an eye they were already 5 against 4. What else is there to be afraid of as a team of 5 grown men? Even if the other side takes back everyone else, what can be accomplished with the current situation of those 2 girls and 1 child? Tiger felt that he was overestimating the few people across from him. He couldn't even win over them and was completely useless. Soon, it was dinner time. Various delicacies are delivered upwards. Tao Ran had already eaten at the palace banquet for many days and had long lost interest. So while everyone else was busy eating, she was the only one holding a wine glass and sipping the wine. Ma Xiaoyuan had obviously been hungry for many days. It was a solid steak, but he finished it in less than 10 bites. It's just a long body. Tao Ran pushed his plate of meat to the child. Thank you, Ma Xiaoyuan smiled gratefully. At this time, the door opened. Another player has arrived. 1. Tao Ran felt a little pity. The person who came was not number 266. I still want to settle accounts with him. The visitor was a young man under 20. He had a silly smile on his face and didn't look very smart. Seeing that there were 3 empty seats in the middle of the long table, Jingwei could clearly distinguish 2 camps, and he chuckled. Tiger raised his chin, want to join us? Tell me, what do you know? The young man looked to the other side and happened to see Tao Ran handing the seafood plate to Ma Xiaoyuan, who was sweetly shouting thank you, sister. He looked at Tiger's table again. Well, everyone's plates were in a mess. The next second, not knowing the game he was about to face, he sat down on the seat where Dehai had been before without saying a word. He made his decision. Brother, I'm hungry, so I'm sitting here. He gave the tiger a silly smile and chose Tao Ran's side. Unlike the other side, there are 2 women here, and they definitely can't finish the food on the plate. You can always share some food with them, right? He was starving to death and just wanted to eat, not perform his talents. Then, he smiled innocently at Tao Ran, sister, give me something to eat. There was a lot of food on the plate in front of the beautiful sister. While Tao Ran handed his bread plate out, he called the guard outside to let the newcomer serve. The new guy came to know me well, and I introduced him as George. His advantage is that he is very strong. Zhou Chang took a few bites casually, put down his knife and fork, and gave George the fish and shrimp he had not touched. He and Tao Ran looked at each other. There are already 10 players. If the 2 guys who were eliminated before were also counted among the players, the number of people would be enough. The game can start at any time. Zhou Chang was a little nervous. Everyone was full of wine and food, and the servants came and took away the plates. As the door clicked, a warning sound sounded in everyone's ears at the same time. Everyone's system messages have arrived. Especially the three newcomers. There is more to their news. Taoran clicked on her message. Quite simple. Just tell her that the game is about to begin and get them ready. Before the game starts, players are asked to elect the captain through a fair anonymous voting method after self-recommendation. Note, the captain will have a slight advantage during the game. Does captaincy have an advantage? My heart is excited. Vote. Anonymous. Taoran looked at the situation on the table. Zhou Chang nodded to her and asked her to run. Taoran pressed the button to confirm the election. But the people over there started arguing, shouting that's not right. Tiger, didn't you say there are 12 players in the game? There are only 10 of them now, why are we starting? If they had known that they would choose a captain, they would have just fought for the new starving ghost. Look at him being stupid, they didn't bother to convince, who knew they needed to vote. Voting depends on numbers, and Tiger is not sure of winning. If there are 12 people, then he still has a chance to win over 2 more people. So he wanted to appeal to the system. No need to appeal, we are a 12-person bureau. There are 2 more people who were eliminated before you came. Taoran spoke. What? Those 2 people came earlier than Zhou Chang. They were guilty and afraid of being interrogated, so they jumped out of the window. As a result, they were caught by the guards and eliminated as spies. How do you know? Because I watched them jump with my own eyes. Taoran put down the cup in his hand. I am the first to come to this floor. I have been waiting for you here for several days. You have also seen that I am different from you. I can sit in the number 1 main seat, even ordinary guards can. Give me some face. So, if you want to choose the captain, I will do my job. Choosing me should save you a lot of trouble. On the contrary, it will not be friendly to you. Tiger believed what Taoran said. But he is not willing to call a woman captain, so where is his face? I also want to be the captain, so let's compete fairly. I'll say it first, and those who don't choose me are my enemies. They will face the consequences of being targeted by me later. Taoran, then let me also say that I am the first among all the players to reach the 16th floor. After I came, I explored a lot of things. Compared to you, I am more cheating. Follow me, and there is a chance to move up faster. Taoran stretched out his hand and smoothed her hair. Several shiny golden bracelets were exposed on her wrists, and the gems on her earlobes and neck were even more blinding in the candle light. She is indeed very different from them. Regardless of appearance, condition, or temperament, how can he look like a struggling player? She is a completely proud queen. The system prompts that voting begins. Everyone makes choices on a panel that only he or she can see. After 1 minute, the system prompts that the voting is completed. Tiger is questioning the system, what if there is a tie? 10 people, now 2 camps, 5 versus 5, will most likely get a tie vote. Taoran, it's a tie, so of course I win. Don't you understand the principle of preconceptions? I was the first to come, sitting in the main seat, and I have the highest status. What's important is that she also has the queen as her backer. Taoran didn't think he would lose. It turns out that you also overestimate yourself, she laughed. The voting results are out. 5-3. Taoran got 5 votes. Who? The tiger jumped up. He glanced at the 4 men on his side. Which of you betrayed me? The 4 people said in unison that it was not them. Taoran laughed even more. No one is a fool. We'll definitely give it careful consideration. Are threats useful? Please. This is an anonymous vote. Who is afraid of him? And since you have the courage to participate in the survival game, will you be threatened by a few words from a villain? It's not like we have to follow the tiger to the end, maybe the lower level won't have to meet each other, and naturally we will do whatever is beneficial to us. And she, a girl, became the one who rushed the hardest. Who knows that she always wears plug-ins, and based on her performance just now, it is clear that she is willing to share them, so is she willing to share them? Fool. Therefore, from a realistic point of view, she will definitely win this vote. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 843. After the captain is selected, the system announces that the game has started. The rules are out. Very simple. Now, the king is looking for spies. All of you entered the palace through improper means, so you cannot withstand the investigation. Now, in this room of yours, at least one spy must be handed over to avoid further investigation. Please use non-force means to vote out the spies and deliver them to the palace guards. The person who is thrown out is eliminated immediately, and the others are temporarily safe. In short, they vote for each other and at least one person is eliminated. In fact, they imagined many game possibilities, but no one thought that the so-called game would be so simple. First, use the captain selection to create an undercurrent among everyone, and then a voting battle. There are two notes under the rules. 1. If there is a tie in voting for a candidate, there will be no second round of voting. To show fairness, all candidates with a tie will be eliminated together. A tie vote between two people will eliminate two people, a tie vote between three people will eliminate three people, and so on. 2. This room is missing 2 players and 2 votes. To keep the game running smoothly, the captain will have 3 votes. Captain, please choose carefully. With 2 notes, the 5 people on the opposite side instantly turned into stone statues. Is this the captain's slight advantage? Is this slightly? What a vicious game. In other words, from 1 person to 10 people may be eliminated in this level. For best results, 1 candidate is eliminated. If they throw randomly, it's hard to say how many people will be eliminated. We don't even rule out the worst situation. If 1 person gets 1 vote, everyone will be eliminated. Therefore, from this point on, they are required to stop fighting, and must be semi-cooperative and semi-competitive on a certain basis, while also preventing themselves from being thrown out. It looks simple, but actually, who the hell can trust whom? The second note is even more annoying. The tiger's face turned sallow in the candlelight. His opponent just now, the woman, had 3 votes. If she led that group of people to vote for herself, she would be eliminated. Vote according to the captain's choice just now, the other party has 8 votes. But we only have 4 votes. If the opponent calculates well, it is very likely that 2 people on his side will be eliminated. Tiger regretted it a bit. That woman really seemed to have brought a cheat, so why was he so panicked? If he were that woman, she would definitely find a way to get him, a potential opponent, out of the way first, right? Across from him, Taoran had already raised his glass. We are together by fate. Since I am honored to be the captain, I would like to propose a toast to everyone. The pressure is all on the 5 people on the opposite side. The 5 people were irritable, but they had to raise their glasses as well, each showing expressions that were uglier than crying. Ha! No wonder this meal is so good. Is this a guillotine meal or a guillotine wine? I don't know who you are sending off to. Taoran put down his wine glass. Since I am the captain, I will preside over the voting ceremony. Does everyone have any objections? That's how it should be, Zhou Chang responded. The 5 people on the other side did not object. Taoran, okay, everyone will take turns to share their thoughts and suggestions, or why they shouldn't vote for you. Taoran pointed to the opposite side. But no one wanted to say it first. Everyone subconsciously feels that the last thing said is the best. Taoran shook his head, Then let me give you a sample first. Everyone focus their attention. The total number of votes is 12, and I have 3 votes in my hand, which is a quarter. My vote is very important and can decide whether many people will stay or go. So I have to be cautious. To be honest, I haven't decided who to vote for yet. But I can tell you, I won't vote for anyone. First of all, I can't vote for Joe Chang. He is the first person to come to this room besides me, so he can be considered an old friend. I won't vote for Xiaoan because of her gender. We are both girls, so we have to take care of her. I don't know how to vote for Ma Xiaoyuan. Who asked him to call me sister? I can't vote. As for George, he ate my bread and has not repaid the favor. Of course I won't send him away. So let me tell you straight, my 3 votes will only be given to the 5 people opposite you. The tiger was so angry that his teeth itched. What she said was obvious, but how could she say it in a clear way? After she said this, the remaining 4 people on the opposite side were all attracted by her, and the 5 of them became even more panicked and confused. Not to mention that the mouse and the eagle were all wrong, even he wanted to surrender. Joe Chang. I have nothing to say. Just one sentence, I follow Ran's vote. I listen to the captain. Needless to say, they will not lose as long as they follow Ran's vote, and they won't be eliminated anyway. The other 3 people also expressed the same attitude, saying that they would vote for whomever Ran voted for. In other words, they will vote for whoever Ran asks them to vote for. Among the 5 people opposite, it was Dahai who answered the question first. I'll say it first. I'm sorry, Captain. He stood up quickly and bowed to Tao Ran. I just came here out of impulse. I was just too scared. Please don't vote for me. I know I was wrong. Next, I will listen to you in everything. Whatever you say is what it is. I will fully assist you. By the way, when you voted for the captain just now, the extra vote of support you got was from me. Dahai moved his seat to the middle. Although I am here, my heart is still towards you. You, but before Dahai finished speaking, the golden-haired man over there exploded. The vote for Ran was clearly mine. You old fool, you are so shameless. With that said, the golden-haired man punched out with his fist. The sea was unprepared and was hit hard. He cried. I'm so old, what's the point of cheating? You idiot, you're not a good person at first glance. Why are you so bad? I'm originally from there, so it's natural for me to go there. But you just came here, why? Possibly surrendered. You old fool. You know who is not a thing. The 2 men struggled together. Tiger's complexion became even worse. He wanted to go up and strangle them to death. There must be a wolf before these 2 people. But now, it's all unreliable. So I only have 3 votes that I can actually use. With just these 3 votes, if he still refuses to admit defeat, he will definitely die. Depressed. After signaling Mouse and Eagle to pull the 2 people away first, Tiger pondered his thoughts, stood up and spoke. I have a lot to say. First of all, I suspect that the 16th to 19th floors should be a continuous level, and each level is related. Tiger wanted to reach a consensus with the opponent first. Indeed, Daoran agrees with this. She thought so too. Ran, you said you've been here for many days. The game took so long, and it took so long to gather 12 people, just to play such a voting? Impossible. It's not necessary. So I doubt that there will be groups in the later levels mission. When the time comes, there will definitely be an advantage in numbers. So if we cannot reach a consensus at the beginning and are suspicious of each other and fight, then the difficulty of subsequent tasks will also increase. I thought so. What do you think? Tao Ran and Zhou Chang looked at each other. What if Tiger could take his 2 younger brothers with him? They just talked about this. Indeed it is. Go on. So I think our voting this time should be centralized. Once dispersed, more people may be eliminated this time. Then it will affect our subsequent tasks. I mean, we just vote for one person. Then who do you think you should vote for? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 844. Taoran really hasn't decided who to vote out yet. Anyway, she has 3 votes and the right to speak, so she plans to see how the other side performs. I have to say, that Tiger is smarter than it looks. Who to vote for? Tiger smiled. Of course he is the most useless, the least able to help the team, and the most likely to hold the team back. He glanced at the sea and golden retriever. The 5 people on the opposite side can't choose, so naturally we have to vote out these 2 pick and rolls. First of all, my brother and I can definitely help the team. Let me introduce myself. I got the hunter bonus in the starting level. My attack power is definitely one of the best among everyone present. To prove himself, Tiger picked up the knife on the table and hit the painting on the wall. The head of his knife struck the eye of the painted human head quite accurately. Take another knife and get another hit. If there is a team confrontation, I can play as the main player. As for my 2 brothers, the eagle's initial bonus is sensitivity. The tiger suddenly punched out, and saw the eagle leaning back almost reflexively and taking the fork to strike. The bonus of the mouse is speed. To show his ability, the mouse, known as the mouse, slithered and avoided the tiger's kick, slid sideways, and got under the table. The speed was really fast. In less than half a second, he was already sliding to Xiaoan's feet. Taoran suddenly became irritated. She was wearing a skirt. What are you talking about? No wonder he is called a mouse. He has to hide under the table even though he has no way to go. So after sensing that he was about to slide towards his feet, Taoran stretched out his feet and kicked him out. The mouse is faster, she is faster. The mouse, unable to move, was hit by the pointed-toed high-heeled shoes. Then it crawled out from the 2 empty seats in the middle with a disgraceful face, lowered its head and hid behind the tiger. It's embarrassing. Tiger's face twitched in embarrassment. At least my 2 brothers and I are not useless. I can't guarantee anything else, but if there are team cooperation tasks in the future, I can be responsible for their actions. Taoran also had the ability bonus of the eagle and mouse, but she didn't care. But tigers are really powerful. The hunter bonus and strong combat power are exactly what a team is most indispensable for. If this team has to maintain several levels, if it wants to compete head-on with other teams, Taoran only has skills and no force at the moment. The team really needs someone who can fight. And Taoran didn't expect that this tiger was quite loyal. At this time, he was still helping his brother to convince and guarantee that such a person was at least not a bad person without a bottom line. Available to work with. In fact, Taoran has given up her intention to vote for him. Okay, I understand, I will consider it. At this time, Huang Mao also jumped out. I am also very powerful. Everyone looked at him. But he panicked and ran to Taoran's side. Shall I talk to you in private? Taoran was a little curious, what kind of bonus made him uncomfortable to tell. In fact, he was young and strong, and even if his skills were useless, Taoran would not vote for him. Taoran followed him to the sofa. The vote for captain was my vote for you. Real. Absolutely true. Huang Mao patted his chest. The starting level I chose was Pyramid, Folklore, and the bonus I got was Witchcraft. This ability is sometimes very useful. The first thing I saw when I was captured today was a tiger. His luck is good, and my Witchcraft can sense fragments. I can feel the image of him laughing while holding a wine glass tomorrow. I know he is not in danger today. Seeing him welcoming me with a smile on his face, I was so excited that I followed him to the side. But then, you caught my attention. When you were running for captaincy, I felt your image. Then, I gave you my vote. Tao Ran's eyes widened. To put it bluntly, this is the ability to predict. What did you sense about me? In fact, this is hang up, right? Then what, tomorrow? Huang Mao lowered his voice and said. Tao Ran's eyebrows almost flew up. Oh my god. Why does she think it's so real? I just think you are strong and you can achieve things. I will have meat to eat and wine to drink with you. You are stronger than a tiger, so I chose you without hesitation. I know, I won't vote for you. Thank you, Sister Ran. Then you vote. No, look, I vote. You can do whatever you want. Tao Ran knew who he was going to vote for. Dahai on the opposite side was anxious. He also asked for a private chat, but Tao Ran refused. You have expressed yourself. The game must be fair. Everyone has only one chance. Now give everyone the last 3 minutes to think and then start voting. Opposite, Tiger and 3 people were gathered together. The mouse and the eagle lowered their voices and asked the tiger how to throw. It's all up to you. Tiger raised his voice and further expressed his attitude to Tao Ran. Does it matter who we vote for? Look across the way, the 5 of them are united. After saying that, the others nodded without hesitation. They are obviously going to vote for the same person, and their 3 pitiful votes are unlikely to change any situation. Might as well just let it go. 3 minutes later, voting begins. Everyone opened their own system again. Everyone's avatar can be seen on it, and they can directly check the people they want to eliminate. For some, the incredibly long minute of voting can feel like 10 minutes. The system shows that one person received a total of 9 votes. The heads flashed, and the person who was voted out was finally selected. The screen in front of everyone finally settled on a face, the sea. Dahai himself didn't even think of it. This is impossible. How could he have 9 votes? There are only 12 votes in total. He clearly heard that the eagle and mouse voted for the other side, so everyone else voted for him. He could accept the golden retriever and tiger's shots, but what about the other side? I don't accept it. Why do you vote for me? I have already surrendered to you, and you still choose me? Are you crazy for keeping those 3 scourges? A good bird chooses the right tree to live in, and I have done nothing wrong. Is that right? Tao Ran shook his head. The day before yesterday, you were planning to jump out of the window like the 2 eliminated ones. It was Zhou Chang and I who stopped you. In fact, from that moment on, you already owed us the grace of saving your life. You didn't repay the favor and switched to tigers. We opened up the situation and didn't say anything. But you are not only a white-eyed wolf or a loser, you not only fall down again and again, but you also take the name of your teammate, which shows how corrupt your character has been. Excuse me. Our team has no room for unstable elements like you. So, sorry. She was willing to explain, and she was already worthy of him. Tao Ran looked at his dashboard results. It showed that among the 12 votes, apart from these 9 votes, the remaining 3 votes belonged to her, Zhou Chang and Hu Hu. The next second, the door was opened. The guards directly dragged Dahai up, but Dahai struggled to no avail and was forcefully dragged away. But he didn't expect that a rat would also be struck by the guard's knife. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 845. When the guard went to catch the mouse, he kept saying that he was a spy. Why? Everyone, including the mouse, has this question in their mind. I'm not. You got the wrong person. It's him you want to arrest. The mouse finger was taken away from the sea. Not me. That's right. The middle-aged man who was taken away is the spy you elected, isn't he? Mouse, yes. That's right, there are two spies in this room. The other one is you. You're farting. Didn't two people get eliminated with a tie vote? I didn't even get a single vote. Why do you eliminate me? The guards were all NPCs, so they didn't know anything about tie votes and eliminations, so they caught the rat without saying a word. Tiger rushed forward. What's the reason? You can't take people away so casually, you have to give a reason. The guard glanced at Chaoran and nodded slightly. Chaoran's heart skipped a beat, it had something to do with him. I've warned you a long time ago to treat Princess Ran Ran well. The guard hummed, I might as well tell you that the spy this person just reported is our Princess Ran Ran. Princess Ran Ran is a great benefactor to our prince and queen, how can she be a spy? Your Majesty has already ordered that Princess Ran Ran is one of our own, and all those who reported Princess Ran Ran are all spies. Now, the whole place was silent. Everyone looked at Chaoran with their mouths wide open. Chaoran himself was dumbfounded. She really cheated. I gained a lot of favorability, and I immediately hugged the NPC. Yeah. It's quite natural. The NPC already trusted her 100%, so why would someone slander her? Wasn't the person who came out to report her a spy? This idea is absolutely correct. I can be considered a mistake. This time, everyone's vote can be completely analyzed without asking. Since it was a mouse that surrendered to her, the only thing that might have surrendered to a tiger was the sea. The one who voted for Zhou Chang was Eagle. Tiger had the clearest mind. He wanted to integrate into the team, so he voted for Dahai. He was one of the 9 votes. Tiger had previously let Eagle and Mouse vote casually to express their attitude, but he didn't expect that. The two of them are really at odds with each other. The guards are so strong that they can't help but explain. Players are in the plot and must abide by the rules of the game and the plot. No one can change it. In this way, the sea and the mice were all taken away and eliminated. Chaoran, I didn't know it would be like this. What can anyone else say? She is a princess whom the king and queen have no doubt about. They are all fakes. They are fakes who dare not be investigated even if they cannot prove themselves. What else can they do besides obeying the leadership of Her Highness the Princess? The atmosphere was a little awkward, so Chaoran had no choice but to raise a glass. Wish you peace, what a simple little wish. Everyone drank a glass of wine together. This time, everyone looked at her with more respect. Tiger and Eagle toasted to Chaoran respectively and punished themselves. Chaoran asked them to just have a drink. Everything is in the cup and the interests of the team come first. Now, there are only 8 of them left. 4 of the 12 seats were vacant, which made everyone feel a little flustered. Although the game rules are simple, the elimination rate is not low. If the difficulty of the next level is set according to the promotion of 11 people, will it be difficult? It is inevitable for everyone to make their own assumptions. Ran, the hang-up you are talking about is the NPC. Yes. Is there a way for you to use them as a shortcut to the next level? If I had my way, I would have gone up there long ago. No matter how much the Queen trusted me, I would have been imprisoned again and again for interrogation in the plot. There was no way. Chaoran can be regarded as a master. If you want NPC help, it seems you can only do it after the plot is over. Once the plot is unfolding, it is impossible for players to skip it even if the NPC wants to. At this time, another system message came. Since Dahai was elected as a spy, all players who had just voted for Dahai received 200 points. Chaoran also confirmed from Eagle's hesitant expression that he had not received the system message that his judgment on the voting results just now was correct. Another news has arrived. The system prompts them to go up one more level together to the 18th floor. So, just vote for one person at this level, And that's it? That's it? But, on. From where? Everyone looked at each other. Escape room? Everyone got busy. Some look at the walls, some look at the murals, some look at the ceiling. Zhou Chang tried to open the door, but the door that had been locked by the guard just opened with a slight twist. As soon as the door opened, a gust of evil wind blew up. With a roar, even the paintings on the wall were blown off. Zhou Chang was so frightened that he immediately blocked the door. But what was speechless was that the wind was so strong that even an adult man could not withstand it. Fortunately, he was surrounded by strong George. George gritted his teeth and stamped his feet before pushing the door shut with all his strength. Then what? Everyone knows in their hearts that in fact, the door can suddenly be opened, and the evil wind suddenly rises outside the door, just for them to experience it, right? You know, this is the palace. Outside this door should be a magnificent palace corridor. Where is the evil wind coming from? As expected, what was waiting for them was a team mission. I knew it wouldn't be so easy to let go. This system is amazing. Every small task is filled with suspicions, open and secret fights, cooperation, elimination, from time to time. Once they mess up, the consequences will be unbearable. The levels below will definitely not be easy. Taoran stood up. Since I am the captain, I hope everyone can follow the arrangements. Some of you have resentments, some have grudges, some have displeasure, and some have displeasure. I hope everyone can put it away for the time being. Let's get through this first. Her proposal was unanimously approved by everyone. The tiger and the eagle knew her scruples and said they would go all out. The system message comes again. After the king's wizard worked, he discovered that there were still spies in the palace. So the wizard cast a spell to release the illusion and put some guests to the test. A true guest will definitely go to the prince's ball with a sincere heart. Players, please leave this floor as soon as possible and go to the 18th floor. All 8 of you are haha, the setting doesn't matter, as long as you are happy. Clicking on the note, all 8 of them couldn't laugh anymore. Limited time, 3 hours. Originally, to get to the next floor, you only had to climb stairs. 10 minutes at most. Even the staircase where Taoran was punished didn't take 15 minutes. Okay, now, let's give it 180 minutes at once. The difficulty can be imagined. What's even more amazing is that there is a sentence added at the end: those who fail to reach the next level within the time limit will be eliminated directly. The only thing that was still human was that the timer would start after they left the room. This means they still have time to prepare. They tried to open the door a crack again. Not only was the wind howling outside, but there was also flying sand and rocks. The visibility was only 1 meter at most, making it impossible to see what was ahead. Once you go out, not only will it be difficult to find the way back, but everyone will probably be separated at once. This is not a good thing. There is strength in numbers, so at this time we really need to act as a team.